Welcome back to my channel. I'm your host, Steven. Today's episode is somewhat about community support of your seniors, and oddly, the passing of a client I had once before, and the strange episode I had once in relation to them being a musician, a clarinet player, and giving me a music book that they actually made a copy of. Don't forget to give a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and share afterwards. So on we go with this little clarinet ghost, a ghost story in a way. I'm sure many of you are tuned in now thinking, is this guy crazy? Well, some might agree with you, but we're not talking about me. Nope, not at all. I'm not crazy. Most of you are probably musicians listening to this episode. So many of you in high school or in some other band has played for seniors. I remember in high school playing at the local senior citizens home. Even in college, we played at various places around Christmas time. When I played in a semi-pro and a pro jazz band, we played at senior citizens' homes playing mostly big band music. They loved it. They were of the proper age, so they understood it. Back in 2005, I had a client whose brother had recently passed away. His brother is one of those career musicians who is a fiddler, violin player, who learned alto, tenor sax, piano, flute, trumpet, and clarinet. A true career performance musician who plays mostly from the Polish community around here in Hamtramck, Michigan. He had a wonderful quality violin, a few trash ones, some repair saxophones, balanced action, super balanced action, Mark Sixes. I think his clarinets are mostly intermediate, but a person who loved playing as a musician in his career. I remember I was asked to look at his attic full of music, and the family wanted me to maybe give them a quote for it. The attic was loaded with file cabinets full of music. Not many complete sets of music, just maybe small ensembles of music in various keys or various instruments. I've never bought any of the music or the various trinkets and old brochures that I would love to have because it was such an enormous task. A moving van would have been needed for that music, but his attic was the same size as the main level of my house. There's so much music there. That's what happens when you're a career professional. I don't know what happened to it all, but apparently other people were not interested in it either. And I'm afraid most of the stuff probably ended up in the trash recycling bin over a long period of time. But that also led me to a local music store in Hamtramck, which was closed. The owner there kept going even while he was in a wheelchair. 2 stories of a music store in Hamtramck, I believe. He did full refurbishments, decades worth of spare parts, spur joints for soprano, alto, bass, clarinet, saxes, brass instruments. Most of everything there was sold, except I did manage to buy a couple boxes, and I don't mean individual boxes, I mean boxes full of reeds that they had in stock. Many old reeds I've never seen or heard before. I have a webpage on clarinetperfection.com with images of most of those reeds, and I'll have an episode soon of all those interesting reeds, how they're shaped, somehow they're cut, had little drill holes in the top. Really interesting. Slices in them. Really neat how they try to evolve the thinking and how to make the clarinet or the reed itself perform better. But back to the owner of this book. He is a musician too, though not a career musician. I believe he was an engineer for one of the big 3 automotive companies, if I recall correctly. So he had a lot of his music copied and spent about $45 back in 2005 for that. He made this book for me. He so wanted me to play his music for him, so I came over like 3-4 times or more and played this book for him. He told me he used to play for Benny Goodman and other famous players at local bars and places when he was in town. That was on his clarinet. This is a book that we have here, and it was full of music. Absolutely full of music that he gave to me. So there's a lot there to choose from to play for him. In fact, I'm not even sure what instrument it was made for. It says accordion on the front. Anyways, I played it for him on clarinet, and he has absolutely loved it. He would sing to the music. Some music I didn't know the name to, and he would hum it for me and like, oh, I know that song, and just play right along with him. But he's an interesting fellow. As I mentioned, as I would play those times, you just start singing the words. Good thing because it's amazing. Like I said, I know a lot of music, but I may not really know the names of things. This book just keeps going on and on, as you can see. Seems though he had a great time. He said it brought back many memories. I tried to get him to play the clarinet. I brought some soft reeds, tried to do a setup where he can actually just kind of play it, but he never wanted to. He had a lung ailment and other things he said going on. He never really liked doing that. So those times I played at his home and he just loved it and stuff. Tons and tons of music in here. Stuff that I played in the past, a couple times, but I never had it memorized like he did. Amazing book. There's a receipt back here. He made the copies in 2005. Interesting book. It says accordion. If I look up accordion, wonder what key accordions, and I actually don't know what key accordion is in. But anyways, back to the book. As I mentioned, I would play this from time to time for him, and at home too, I actually would play it more. I remember one night in the evening, late summer 2008, I was playing this book on my alto sax. I was the only one at home. All the lights were off except for one room I was in. Have you ever had that feeling of someone was standing right next to you, breathing down your neck? Well, I remember I was playing along and I had a strong sensation. Someone was right there looking at me as watching the music as I was playing. So I put my saxophone down. I was playing alto at that time, just playing through this music. Looked around. Nothing there, of course, because I didn't see anyone while I was playing. So I went back, started playing again. This time I had the feeling again, just as intense and even more intense this time. But this time I did a change of tactics. While I was playing, I turned around real quickly. And boy, that was odd because I saw a white mist. You could see through the mist, but there's a white mist right behind me. And I zoomed out of the room. I went chasing, holding the saxophone. It turned right down the hallway, and it did a right again down the main hallway to the front door. I never saw it after it made the second turn, but it's kind of scary. But it was interesting to say the least because I was playing this book. Now I'm also a photographer, and I actually know how to make ghosts from a single image on a camera. I'm also into astrophotography, so I like taking pictures in the dark. I like using full spectrum cameras. Even infrared cameras I know about. So I know how to make ghostly images with a camera and lighting and normal effects that people don't think of. So I think it's kind of funny when I watch a lot of these ghost episodes, even though I do believe in ghosts, and this was a prime indicator of it. But when I was putting together some notes for this episode, I looked up his obituary, and it was about the same time this whole thing happened. So it was just kind of like a interesting scenario. But basically, if you ever have a chance to play for seniors, whether in a small orchestra or yourself in some recorded background music, you playing solo, I highly recommend it because they will probably never forget it. And making music that they know and love and hearing it live and someone spending the time to play for them, I'm sure they won't forget it. And I recommend everyone to do it. I'm sure this episode I had was not normal and probably not repeated very often, but this person knew me. It was really the oddest situation, I have to say. But anyways, that's all I have. Have a good night. Don't forget to play for me in the future too. So you gotta love life, gotta love those seniors. So we'll see you next time. Play your clarinet as long as you want.